Me. You. She.
How's my hair? Hi, John.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Nice to be here.
Thank you. Thanks for agreeing to be in my interview. You're my first one, you know.
Yes.
Would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself? What do you do?
I'm a consultant. Primarily what I do is I do consulting primarily in energy efficiency. So I used to work for Pacific Gas and Electric Company and Berkeley Labs doing that sort of work. So my consulting is with commercial building owners. What I do is I help them save a whole bunch of money and make a whole bunch of money by saving energy. The other consulting work I'm doing currently is working with a smaller medical company. They do medical training, and I love the CEO's vision. Their vision is really to take part of their training, which is medical assistants and phlebotomy and pharmacy techs, and make that nonprofit. And so part of why I was hired was to open up their find new sales channels, do business development for them, but once they go nonprofit, to actually find corporate as well as nonprofit or foundation money in order to get that for the programs and be able to provide the training free to people in need of it, people who need career. So it's pretty exciting. The other thing I do is I do several things. I'm a real estate investor as well.
Oh, wow.
So I flipped houses, I've found contracts for houses and then sold those, and now I'm trying to buy an apartment complex.
Our complex?
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
Not too big, 50 or so, something small, where we can get enough people in there, they'll make some money.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay, that's very smart. It's completely out of my field of expertise.
Mine too, apparently. I'm joking.
How did you get into it?
Into
The consulting?
So I've actually worked corporate. I worked for large companies. I worked for Pacific Gas and Electric Company. I worked for Kaiser Permanente, and I've worked for a few other corporations. I've also gone on my own. So I've done some consulting. I did market research consulting. I was interested in going on my own. I was doing the energy efficiency work, and I actually, with Pacific Gas and Electric Company, before that I'd actually done some natural gas and some distributed generation, so like solar, wind, and those types of things. And so I was interested in working on my own, and then I got a contract. Someone said they needed some help. I got a contract. I was still working at Berkeley Labs, and then I was consulting with a smaller company, wanted more of my time, and then at that same time I had taken some courses, found out about doing real estate investing, started doing that, and then I realized I had no time, so I decided to quit my day job in order to do what I thought was more important and made more money actually.
Wow. Is that about the time you first came to a co-working space?
A little bit afterwards, yeah, about the same time, or maybe another year later.
It sounds, in a way, this is something you could work on anywhere. So what brings you to the co-working space? And was this the first one you came to?
It's not the first one I came to, actually. I've been to other ones. I've been to ones in San Francisco. So people say, oh, I would love to work from home. Well, I've done it, and it drives me nuts. I actually love people. I get my energy from people. I love people, and even though I'm an introvert, no, I'm just joking. Even though I'm introvert or extrovert, whatever I am, I really love people. Yeah. So working from home is a little tough. I have a cat, and my cat will say meow, meow, meow. She says, feed me, pet me, leave me alone. And that's our conversation, so I get a little lonely.
Okay.
So that's why I came to Coworking Space. I actually wanted a place where I could actually focus and at the same time interact with people.
Yeah.
So I've actually done other things. So I actually drove for Lyft and Uber because it gave me a way to talk to people, and I still made a little bit of money. So I would do that and just
For socializing.
For socializing, yeah.
A side hustle purely to socialize.
Yeah, because in my consulting I make much more money than that.
Yes.
And in flipping houses I make a lot more money than that. So yeah, it was a way to talk to people. So yeah, I mean, I've done it before. I was looking for a space where I could actually, again, not just talk to my cat, but actually interact with people. And actually, in co-working spaces, I've been able to find people that I could work with, people who've been giving me new ideas, helps me think about what I'm doing, and maybe find some newer ways to do it.
Yeah, yeah. Do you find there to be real value for money also in working in a co-working space?
I actually believe that in the right space, you can really find people you can work with. I've actually found people who actually were interested in what I did with real estate investing and actually were willing to invest in my programs. I've actually found people that are giving me some really good ideas on how to market. So yeah, it's helped my business and it's really helped me focus. I mean, when I first started doing this, I used to go to cafes, and so I would sit there and I would drink too many cups of coffee and spend too much money on coffee and then get hyper. And then I actually went to this one cafe in San Francisco working on my work, and they used to play chess in the afternoon. They started around noon, and I started to play with them around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And then suddenly I started playing with it at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And then suddenly I was going there, put my work down, and started playing chess for 4 hours. So that didn't quite work. So yeah, it wasn't quite what I wanted. And
that was too social.
That was too social and too much coffee.
Yeah.
But here, people are in a co-working space like Impact Hub. People are working. They have jobs to do as well, and so it helps you stay focused. Even though sometimes I come in and because I know people here, and it's nice to interact with them and say hi when they're available and I'm available. Sometimes a little too much availability.
You have to draw your boundaries.
Yeah, sometimes I forget to do that. So yeah, I think you need to.
Yeah. Did you find friends at this co-working space?
I did actually. It's interesting. Co-working spaces can be really good. I love this co-working space. Of all the places I've been, I've liked it the most because when I first came here, I felt a presence. I felt like community. I felt like there were people with a vision and a purpose. And it was a place to be. And it's really changed over time. I've been here off and on for about 3 years. I first came as a member, then I became a coworker, then I quit as a coworker, and then I came back. I got invited back. I came back as a coworker. And there's times when I don't want to be a coworker because I'd rather just work. But it's a pretty good deal. You know, so I'm saving money and also I'm making friends with the other co-workers as well. And so
when you say co-worker, you mean the work traders?
Yeah, work traders.
Okay.
People who basically put in a few hours for the membership here.
Have you heard of a program like this at any of the other co-working spaces?
Yeah, they do.
They do.
I've looked at other places as well. Actually, I was thinking about leaving to go to another space because I just felt that it had changed and it didn't quite feel the same. So I was looking for a different place, or maybe I just needed to change. But I actually still here.
Or take a month off.
Yeah, or take a month. Yeah.
Would you recommend co-working spaces and using co-working spaces to everybody or only select people?
That's an interesting question. If you needed a place to work and if you didn't like working by yourself and at home, I would recommend working in co-working spaces. Again, I think there are variations of a co-working space. There are some which are good if you just want to work. There people aren't as friendly, and I remember one in San Francisco, they weren't that friendly, and they were working really hard, and then they would have these events, like every Friday they'd have beer and hors d'oeuvres. So then you actually got a chance to meet people. But I actually like this space where you actually get to interact with people as well, and they're not as serious. I mean, you go to the other side and you can be very serious. But at the same time, I like the ability to interact. And actually as a co-worker, I actually, doing some of the work, people come up and I just introduce myself.
Yes.
I say, hey, I'm John, who are you, or what's your name? And it helps make the space a better place for me. Mm-hmm. And again, it's my way of talking to people. Like I said, I had done Lyft and Uber, and I started talking, like, blah, 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 to all of my clients. It's funny. I got pretty good ratings because they said everyone thought I was friendly and they liked talking to me. Yeah. And I start topics. And, yeah.
When comparing meeting people on Lyft and here, it's obviously an advantage, isn't it, that on Lyft you only see people once, Lyft and Uber, whereas here you have an opportunity to build real connection, so it's a deeper engagement.
No, at Lyft I actually dated. I'm joking. No. I'm joking. No, yeah, it is a one-time kind of thing, and it's really interesting. It helps you figure out people as well. Mm-hmm. With Lyft and Uber, you see people come on and they go straight to their phone and I leave them alone. Or I always start out with good morning or nice day, and then see what happens. And some people go, yeah. And then I go, okay, maybe I'm not going to talk to them. Or they'll go to their phone and if it's a longer ride, and I would say, I kind of look, they stop with their phone, and I'd go, oh, like if I was taking them to the airport, oh, where are you headed to? And see where that goes.
Yeah. Do you find that the experience of having done this quite unusual job for your genre, to drive Lyft and Ubers, do you feel like it's actually helped you with business skills? Because business skills are people skills. Or you already had them?
I think I already had them. Yeah. It's interesting right now what I'm doing with the medical training program is I'm basically business development, and I realized I interviewed with them to be the chief operating officer. And then we started talking about, because they're medical training, so I had actually worked for Kaiser Permanente. So they asked me about, what do you do with Kaiser? What's one great thing you do with Kaiser that you're really proud of? So I said, oh, I did this great program. I put together this healthcare on wheels, free to the medically indigent. It's like, really? And I said, we talked about that. She was really interested in that, the CEO, and so we started talking about another thing that was actually more community and government relations focused, people focused. So finally, she was like, well, you want to come work with me and do business development? It seems like you're really good at it. And I said, yeah. But I remember when I was younger, my first job out of college, they said, oh, you have to speak to groups of people, youth, because it was for job training as well. I said, oh yeah, no problem. I took speech classes. I'm really good at it. I got an A. And then after I got the job, he goes, you sure now? And I said, yes. And he said, okay, you're hired. I'll see you on Monday. And I said, oh my God, what did I do? I had to speak in front of people. And now it's like nothing. I have no problems doing a cold call on someone. I have no problem calling someone up and just saying, hi, my name is John Jmeija. Can I speak with Gina? I'm with Berry Medical Academy, and we want to work with you. And I have no problem selling. It's interesting. I never thought that would be that way. Mm-hmm. So I think I already knew that with the Lyft and Uber. It's actually, it's fun.
The sense of community, you said it's unique to here?
From the places I've been to, yeah, it's been pretty unique. I consider myself somewhat intuitive, so I can feel things. Mm-hmm. And so when I actually first walked in here, or I don't know, the first few times I was here, it actually felt like, wow, this is a cool place. These people are doing something. They're changing something. Their goal is to reach the stars or whatever it is. And I want to be a part of it. It made me want to be a part of this community. Other places I've been, even like San Francisco Hub, it's not like that. It's more like the stuff I've been to before, where people are working. Sure, they need to do their work, but just people weren't that friendly. Here, it seemed like people were reaching out, or at least you felt that they were more open to being reached out to and communicating with you, sharing ideas.
What do you think attracts this different ambient into this space? What do you think attracts people who are like community-minded into this space rather than another space? Because essentially we have an empty building. What brings those people here?
I think it's who runs it. I mean, when I started there, the initial people who started this place were here, and they were here every day, and you know, they'd done community work. They seemed to be interested, and one of the founders had this thing where it's a political action group that was against Trump and the stuff he's doing. That's exciting because that matches my politics.
Yeah.
So you would get that sort of thing, and I think once you have people that sort of walk the walk, talk the talk, it comes forward and people see it, and then either you're interested and you come into it, or you walk away because it's not what you want. That's what I found here, and I think it's changed a little bit. But I think in general it's still here. And the other thing is it's a great space. It's a great space. There's a lot of light. You know, it's got brick. It's just very welcoming.
Yeah. That's something I really appreciate about this space as well. I've looked at co-working spaces for a long time as an abstract concept.
Okay.
This is the only one I've ever set foot into in this country. I've stepped foot into a couple in Thailand, but I experienced them to be how you described some, where it's just not so social, people are very serious, and you don't really get to connect. And I didn't understand the point of that, because co-working to me sounds like something that does invite a certain amount of
socialization and interaction. I would agree, yeah. And that's why I like this place.
Yeah. Would you say, and this might be a problematic question, would you say that people here in this co-working space are as successful in their ventures as people in one of the more serious co-working spaces?
It's hard to say because I didn't spend a lot of time in the other spaces. I think anywhere you go, you're going to find people that do better, are more focused. But I've seen some people do really well here. I've seen people that have gone through the programs here, like Optima. They've gone through Optima and they have a active business now where they started with an idea. I think it's great. I realize that, I mean, I do fine with my business, but I think I could do better as well. So, for example, there are people who are really focused on growing. So we just started a sales club. So so there's a couple of people. One guy does primarily, you know, internet and IT and really focusing on doing websites and some marketing and stuff around that. The other person is IT security. They have a business in IT security, and they're both interested in growing their business. And it's interesting. They're really focused on the pieces that I don't have, which are, you know, really the marketing pieces. I've done marketing, I've done PR, but they're more focused on the, you know, the Internet of Things. You know, making sure you have the right taglines, the right things to email, that sort of thing, which I haven't spent a lot of time on. And what they're getting from me is I have the language. I can walk up to someone and learn. I can start the conversation. I can figure out what they want, and I can close the deal. So we're sort of melding together our different values and stuff we know.
Right, so you're learning from each other.
Yeah, and it's great. I mean, I realize that I will actually get more focused on doing the nitty-gritty stuff, and instead of just moving in and just trying to sell. But the whole package of sending the email out, getting people to contact you, so sort of this development without actually just calling them, doing a direct call.
Which is really excellent, because in this interaction with your sales club, you're getting skills that other people pay for.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
So, for example,
which comes back to this makes being in the co-working space great value for money.
It is. It really is. Yeah. And I've met people here who wanted to learn what I know in real estate investing, and then I was able to get some other stuff from them as well. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about a review of 2019. How did it go for you? How do you think it's gone for you so far? Are you satisfied with your achievements? Is there something where you feel, I still have 3 months left, I better get on it?
I'm not satisfied with my achievements, but what I've realized, what I've done is I've focused more. I do consulting and I do real estate investing, and real estate investing is I'm very particular, and I'm very focused on the numbers. So there are things that come my way in terms of a house flip or a project where I won't touch it because it doesn't bring me enough money. I don't touch anything unless I get $100,000 out of my efforts. So I bypass a lot of things. And then I started to focus on trying to find an apartment complex, which is a whole different set of similar knowledge, but new ways to get there. So some new knowledge. I'm focusing on trying to get a multi-family unit, an apartment complex. So what I realized is I spread myself too far from where I need to be, and I also started to do hard money lending, and I just spread myself too thin and not focusing enough. And then so what I was realizing, I wasn't making enough money. So then I went back to consulting again. So I have a regular income, and then I met with a fellow that I was trying to work with earlier in the year with a group of people that didn't work out. They wanted to do another type of real estate investing, basically buying homes, renovating them, and then renting them out, and then selling those rentals. But the group didn't work, and so that took me out of place too. So he wants to work with me on multifamilies, again, apartment complexes. So I'm going to focus on that, probably a little bit still on the hard money lending, and then just make the money doing consulting and just really focus. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I didn't get what I wanted this year, but at least I've learned to focus again.
This is just what I wanted to ask you. What is the main thing you learned this year?
I learned a couple of things. One is you need to look at what you're doing and be truthful about it. Am I making money? Is this the right thing to do? And sometimes we look at situations and you say, everything's fine, but we gloss over it. We think it's better than it is, or we think it's worse than it is. And now I'm trying to be more realistic about my goals, what I'm doing, so that I can focus and do well.
Mm-hmm. Let's throw in a question I didn't tell you I was going to ask.
Sure.
What are you doing for your spiritual life? And this doesn't have to be, this is very broad and very open. What things help you center in yourself or nourish your soul or spirit?
The other thing that when I talk about focusing is I'm really starting to do things that are good for me. So I'm trying to read again, which actually makes me think. I've been listening, since I don't read as much as I would like, I've actually got some audio books that I've been meaning to read. So I've been reading these audio books that are one about real estate investing and about just being a better person. Mm-hmm. So I've been doing that, and it's interesting because now I've been trying to share it with my son. He's 19 years old. He's turning 20 in a week, and so I'm trying to share that with him, because if I knew what I know now when I was his age, I would do pretty good, and I haven't done bad. Again, this year's been a little harder, but I've done pretty well for my life, and I won't do things over again. I wouldn't go back and change it. Very little would I change. I would just do it better. And so I'm trying to be more focused. I'm trying to be more open to valuing what I have, my friends, the things I have in my life, and just relearning how to be humble, how to value what you have and share. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think for me that is something that comes across from you just in the way you occupy space. But that is something that comes quite natural to you. You come across as somebody who is quite generous with kindness. that is what I see when I very first encountered you, and every time I see you speaking with anybody, or just the energy you're emitting.
What's interesting, I met the CEO for this company I'm doing consulting with, and she liked the value. I have a pretty good resume. I've done a lot of really great things. I've worked large companies. I've worked in consulting, and I've done pretty well. And what sold her was not only the great stuff I'd done and my enthusiasm, but she said, "I want to hire you because you're authentic. And I know you will sell because all you need to do is just be yourself. That authenticity will sell, our program, if you believe in it." And I do. So yeah, I see that. Although I guess other people see it easier than I. I just started to realize that it's there as much as it is.
It's a certain truthfulness about your character. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes. Yeah. It is interesting for me to hear that a business owner appreciates that too, because I think it gives a certain hope for people that I think there can be an idea that you have to put on a front in order to achieve things. Do you feel that's happened to you?
When I was younger, I come from very humble beginnings. My parents and my family didn't have a lot, so we came from very humble beginnings. And I think because of that, or because of whatever it was, I had this public persona that I always put out. And then it's just in the last few years, I don't know, maybe the last 10 years, or maybe longer than 15 or 20 years, I realized that I don't need to have this public persona. I just need to be me, because I'm a better person for it. I can really know who I am, and who I am is actually pretty good. So yeah, I've done that, and now what I realize, I'm listening to this tape. I can't remember, it was by some doctor, and it's the guy who did Who Moved My Cheese? I don't know if you read that book. It's about these mice that have this great cheese, and it's always there, and suddenly it starts going away. And there's the person who immediately decided to get up, move to look for the cheese. There's the other one who never wanted to leave because they figured it would always be there. And then there was the guy, or the mouse in the middle, who was sort of in between, caught between both. And so he wrote that, and it's about how you deal with change and how that works. So this one is more about, it's called Peaks and Valleys or something like that. And I didn't quite get it at first, but this is what I'm talking about. It's like, so when you have the peaks, things are going really well, sometimes you forget where you were at. Did you in this valley that was really difficult? And so sometimes you become arrogant, or you forget that you can always go back in that valley. So you need to be humble about those things. And I didn't get it at first, but I realized I get it. I've done really well, and then this year wasn't as good. And so I'm in that valley. But I know if I'm myself, if I focus, if I do the right things, and not thinking that everything's always perfect, I'll get there. I'll get back up to that peak. And once I get there, it's remembering the friends, the people that helped you get there, or what you did to get there. That'll keep you there longer, instead of going back into a valley where things aren't quite what you want. So yeah, I'm doing those readings or listening, and it's been helpful.
What is work for you? For my partner and I, we have this sort of mentality, we're not really happy unless we're allowed to work. We enjoy working a lot, and we find that life provides obstacles that get in the way of making progress at work.
Sure.
Or working, full stop. Sometimes you're just having so many other things to do that feel like they're not your main core of your work project. So how is it for you? Do you find it easy to take time off, or do you enjoy working in your time off?
It's interesting. When I worked for other people, I'm one of those people. I'm one of those employees that never took their time off. When I left Kaiser hospitals, I knew I was going to leave. So I knew I was going to leave within the next 5 or less months, and so I had to take all these days off in the middle of the week before so I could bring my vacation time down, because I knew I could only cash out 12 weeks, but I had something like 20 weeks of vacation that were amassed in my thing.
Yeah.
So I was one of those hard workers, and I don't know, hard workers or whatever. But I would always do that.
Okay.
What I realize now is that, so for that company, I was on a course to become a hospital administrator. I wanted to be the best, and so I used to work 12-hour weeks for the longest time, and then because I had a goal. And then I realized now, as I've gotten older or just more work and met a lot more people, I realized that there's real work-life balance, and part of that is just enjoying life. I was just talking to a friend. We went for happy hour drinks, and I've gotten the bug for travel. I haven't traveled enough this year, but I mean, when I travel, I meet new people. Like, again, I'm being the extrovert, trying to be the extrovert, and getting to know them. And it's not about going to a 5-star hotel. It's meeting the people that live there and trying to talk to them and find out how they live. Because to me, that's more valuable than sitting in a hotel, a 5-star hotel with a bunch of other tourists. Because they have the same experience as me. I want to know their experience and how that relates to me. I remember sitting in Paris in the Champs-Élysées, and I remember sitting there and realizing it was a big revelation, or it was a big, oh God, what's the word? I was sitting at the Champs-Élysées and I'm realizing that.
Revelation.
Yeah, it was a great revelation for me.
My mind had gone blank as well.
So I'm sitting, so
you had your revelation.
I had my revelation. I'm sitting there on this near this bench near this fountain, and I realized that they're just like me. They speak a different language. They had a different upbringing. Some are richer, some are poor, but we're all just humans, and we all have. No matter what they say that everything's perfect, nothing's perfect. We're all just human, and we all have our foibles and our problems, and the good and the bad. And it was such a revelation. I was like, wow, we're the same. And it was like, wow, okay. It helped me grow, and it helped me think about how I interact with people and how they interact with me. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, and it makes your life more whole.
Yeah, well, it makes me realize that if I make a whole bunch of money, it doesn't make me better. If I make a lot less money, it doesn't make me worse.
Okay.
We're all just people, and we have different...
Exactly that revelation, that understanding helps you in years like this year when maybe business is a little bit in the valley of things.
Yes.
Because you know what truly is important.
Yeah.
You're not losing sight.
Yeah, and again, it's not about making the money. It's not about making a whole bunch of money, because money is just a tool for me, and it should be for everybody. It's just a tool. What it's really about is I have certain goals. I want to retire a little earlier. I want to have enough money so that I can travel and enjoy life without worrying about where my next meal is going to come from, or where my housing is going to come from. So that's what I want. And so, because I didn't make a lot more money this year, or what I made in the past does not make me wrong or bad. It just didn't reach my goal.
Yes.
And it's okay.
Yes.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm getting more focused, I'm making more money, and okay, we'll make up for it.
It was a learning curve. Let's move on to another question.
Sure.
Okay, my question is something about your goals for 2020. What would you like to achieve in 2020 for your business, for your personal life? You don't have to share that. Business, personal life, maybe something for your spiritual or soul.
I'd love to share that. Actually, I hope that my goals for 2020 is to focus more. I'm starting to focus more about my business and stop going after the golden charm that I see as one other way to make money. Focus on ways to make money. I know how to make money, and in consulting, I know how to make money in business development. I know how to make money in different ways. Let's focus on one or two things that are more related or that can create some synergy. Mm-hmm. So that's one of my goals for business. And I know what I'm going to leave behind. And I've always had people who are, maybe it's my authenticity or maybe it's what I say, but people always want to work with me, or they want to invest in my real estate business, or they said, how can we work together? So what I'm going to do is focus on seeing how I can work with those people, and so we can both make what we want, money or time or whatever we need to that works for us. So that's my business goals. Personal goals, my son just went to college. I realized that I was worried about my business or other things, and I wasn't spending time with the people I love and the people I care about. So I'm going to try and be more open to spending time with people, appreciating what I have, letting that grow, and while still adding more to my life.
Yeah.
And then finally spiritual, just continue to read, continue to learn, because my dad always said, and I agree, once you think you know it all, you gotta worry. So I'm still learning. I'm learning how to be more humble, how to focus. Yeah, so more spiritual, and the spiritual part again would be to know what I have, let it grow, and let it grow with the people and friends I love.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for taking all this time to speak with me.
Sure.
I actually have more questions in my mind now, but I feel like we've been here a long time, so maybe I should... Actually, there's one question I do want to ask, and it's out of sync. It should have come much earlier on.
Problem.
But, and you being my first interview obviously is really helpful because it allows me to organize my thoughts and my questions a little bit better. Something I have noticed as soon as I walked into this space here, the Impact Hub, was diversity also in age. Is that something that you have noticed, and is this the same in other spaces, or is this space again somewhat unique?
I actually think this space is a little more unique. The other spaces I've been to are here. There's more diversity, and actually, when I first got here, there was a lot more diversity in age as well, in culture and race. Mm-hmm. And actually, I guess the other area of diversity was the types of businesses. Mm-hmm. So some of the places I went to, there were a bunch of lawyers in there, and then there were more just straight business people. Mm-hmm. Here you found makers, bookkeepers, community organizers. So it's a really interesting mix that's exciting. I mean, they had Black Girls Code, which they would teach young black women how to code so that they could make money in this growing field. Mm-hmm. They had Brown Surf Girls. I don't remember. Maybe that's wrong.
Still here.
That's the wrong title, maybe. But they help.
I think it is called Brown Girls Surf.
Brown Girls Surfers or something.
So,
yeah. And so they get minorities to learn to surf, in particular women, and so that they can enjoy that field. And then they had another one, Outdoor Afro. So the woman was. So I'm not sure, I'm not African American, but apparently maybe more in the city, they were less about going out hiking and camping and stuff that not all minorities do. And and it was great. They have a business, it's something they want to do, and it's something of value to their group of people or people they want to impact. So that's really cool.
Yeah, that's something I really like about here too. Yes.
So do you find this elsewhere? Not really. And so I found it really different. And again, with the original organizers or the founders being here, you felt that it was almost as if your mother was there, but they didn't act like your mother. They were there to make sure that things were okay. Yeah. So you knew that someone had your back. And that's how it felt about community. someone knows what I think, or kind of knows what I'm thinking, and they have my back. And so that's what was value. I felt like it was like a place I'd been, a place I wanted to stay.
That's excellent. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you so much for this. I think we can wrap it up here.
Okay, great.
I feel like we could keep talking.
We could, yeah,
yes,
exactly.
I feel like we're only just beginning to organize our thoughts, really. We could start from scratch.
Yeah, it's Friday afternoon. Oh, I think we're done now.
I think we are done. The light left us. It was very generous of you to give me so much of your time.
Sure.
Especially now that I know what you're doing. I understand how many things you are doing. And to give me this time, I very much appreciate it.
No problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Okay. All right.